Hey guys, it's CrazyKnightHero, and I've got some more concepts for you guys. Age of Triumph is just around the corner, and since they're bringing back the old raids, I thought I would make some weapon concepts for the combinations that aren't currently in the mix. Like, there's some things that the old raids like Vault of Glass and Crota's End just didn't have. Like, they don't have artifacts, they don't have ghosts, and some of the newer raids even don't have sparrows. So we actually learned that King's Fall and Wrath of the Machine will be getting sparrows, which would be absolutely amazing, and that Crota's End and Vault of Glass are actually getting ghost shells. But what about the weapons that aren't there entirely? There's no swords, there's very few sidearms, so I made some concepts for weapons like that they could possibly put in the mix, but chances are low. Anyways, we come to the Wretched Bite sidearm from Crota's End. And it's looking pretty nice, like straight out of Crota's End. And I would make it the medium rate of fire type of sidearm, to where you just shoot a little bit slower and a little bit harder, because we already have one of the fast firing types from Wrath of the Machine. And this would have some of the Crota's End perks like Phantom Gift and Hive Disruptor. And I think they could make this weapon do solar damage, because pretty much all the other ones like Swordbreaker already does void damage, and then the fusion rifle does arc. So this would be solar damage. And maybe the stats could be like this. Maybe it could have like medium tier stability, really bad reload, and only like a 10 round magazine, but have like a really great range. And just going back to the Phantom Gift perk for a second, that would be really unique to have on a sidearm, because we can't get triple tap on a sidearm, so it would pretty much be triple tap on a sidearm. So that would be pretty cool. Okay, moving right along, because there's quite a bit of these, we have the Crota's End Sword, Sword Bearer's Might. Now there's two ways you could do this. You could go with this concept that I made right here, or just straight up have the sword be the ones that all the Hive guys use. That would be really cool to use that kind of sword and to keep it with you the whole time. But at the same time, it might get confusing to where when you actually need to pick up the sword, like in the raid and stuff. So I think it would be better if you go for this concept over here. And one pet peeve I have is all the swords in Destiny have the same exact base stats, except for maybe a little more or a little bit less efficiency. So I would actually change this sword up a lot and make it where it's pretty heavy, so the swing is a lot slower, and but you hit a lot harder. And instead of blocking with this weapon, have it where the trigger is replaced with just like a quick power slam or whatever, like how the normal Crota's End sword is. But so that would be kind of the trade-off. You wouldn't have any defense with this sword, but you would have just like a crazy slam in like slam attack in the form of a legendary, and you would still have things like Hive Disruptor on it and stuff. And yeah, pretty cool. Alright, that's all the Crota's End weapons. Let's go to the Vault of Glass. And keeping the same trend here, we have the Vault of Glass sidearm called Hourglass Symphony. And again, looks like it's from Vault of Glass. Pretty much designed it from the Found Verdict. And the stats on this weapon would be a slow rate of fire. Then if we were to cover the stats real quick, higher impact with some decent range, not so great stability, but an insanely like maxed out reload. And the mag size would be about 12. Now if we were to cover the perks real quick, we would have Oracle Disruptor like all the other Vault of Glass weapons. And then we would find a Clown Cartridge on the first perk slot, pretty interesting to have on a sidearm. And then a special perk where when Clown Cartridge happens and you get that slightly bigger mag, then your whole entire mag does slightly more damage. Now, it sounds a little overpowered, but the damage boost wouldn't be too great, and you would have to keep reloading your weapon for this to have a chance to proc. Also, in the PvP sense, you might run out of ammo before this even comes into play. So that's how I would do that. Man, it would just be fantastic if Bungie cared enough to like fill all these gun spots. Like if we figure out that all these things are filled out and stuff, I would just like flip a waffle and I would just like go insane, because that would be super cool. Alrighty, staying with the Vault of Glass, we have the Vault of Glass sword called the Vex Purger. Now this isn't my greatest concept, but you get the idea. Just like a really fancy sword with some Vex milk splattered on the front. like you've been slaying some Vex, and then a power core where the crystal would normally be. Now again, this is a Vault of Glass weapon, so it would have Oracle Disruptor, but this is what I would make this thing do fancy. You know the Vault of Glass shield? The Shield of Caber, or whatever it's called? Where you hold the left bumper, and it does that, like, protective bubble shield, and it's, like, super overpowered. I would make it do that, but instead of blocking all the bullets, the bullets still, like, travel through and hit you, but any round that enters that bubble does, like, half damage. So you could also block for your allies as well. So that's what would be fancy with the perks, and I would make this sword swing a little bit faster even than all the ones we have right now, but hit a little bit less. So it wouldn't be like the Crota's End sword in the sense that it hits heavier and swings slower, but it would be the opposite in the sense that it swings fast and hits lighter. Alrighty, there you go. Now let's move on to King's Fall. Yes, King's Fall is missing some guns. We got the sidearm here. Let's take a look at it. Stealth of Darakun. Darakun! I'm sorry, I just had to joke about some of the hive names, because hive names for stuff are just really weird, so sorry about that. And the stats on this weapon, I would have it shoot a little faster than normal, probably like the Wormwood archetype. And also, since it's a King's Fall weapon, it would have Cocoon as always, and rather just another random legendary perk, like how King's Fall weapons are kind of randomized a little bit, or I would have this one have a fancy perk. Now, the fancy perk would focus on stealth, and what it would do is on minions of the darkness, precision shots have a very small chance to cause that target to ignore you for, like, I don't know, 5 seconds max. And I would have this sidearm be very extremely accurate, but have just abysmal range, and, I don't know, reload about medium, and the mag size, let's just say 12. Alrighty, now we come to the last weapon, the King's Fall Sword. I think this one's my favorite, and it's called Dracon's Blade Black Ops 3. Anyways, this is a King's Fall weapon, but as we know, swords do not need to be reloaded, so how would Cocoon work? I would rework Cocoon to work exactly the same. You stow it like 5-ish seconds later, but instead of it reloading your weapon, I would have it where there's a small damage boost to your sword. So if you're just using your sword as your primary and you're just whacking through foes, you won't get the bonus, but if you just whip out your sword when you really need it, then it will be more powerful. And I think I'd be decently generous with the damage boost on the reworked Cocoon. And if you're wondering, I would have this sword be in between of the swing speed we have right now and the slower speed that the Crota's End sword would swing at. So this sword would swing just a tiny bit slower, and what the heck, throw some Hive Disruptor on it as well. Anyways, chaps, that brings us to the end of the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I really, really hope Bungie doesn't forget weapon types like this for raids in the future, and that maybe they could add some new weapons into the raids. That would be absolutely amazing, and these are just my ideas on how they might do that. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This has been CrazyKnightHero. You guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.